So the first question, the cave architecture in India not only enlightened us with information of tradition and customs of ancient times, but also illustrate considerable accomplishment with regard to structural engineering and artistry discuss approach. In the first part of the answer, with examples, show how elements of cave architecture such as relics, motifs, murals, and sculptures provide information of tradition and customs of their times. In the second part, highlight the accomplishments in the context of structural engineering and artistry. Answer: in the cave art and architecture of India is of unprecedented richness and variety, while the caves of Paleolithic Mesolithic periods such as Bhimbetka features painting with themes of daily life. The the cave architecture of post-Mauryan period has religious significance with depiction of customs and traditions. For example, many Bhimbetka caves are located on a height or with their ceiling painted so that they could be seen from a distance, indicating a community living pattern. Buddhist caves are located in close proximity to major trade routes, commissioned by wealthy traders were often Buddhist. They also served as sojourns for traveling traders. Statues, statues, murals, carvings of Lord Buddha and Bodhisattvas inspired from Jataka stories are found in caves of Ajanta, Korla, Bagh, etc. Buddhist monasteries, viharas, and worship halls, chaityas find place at these sites. In addition to the Kanheri, Bhaja, and Bedsa caves, the paintings, sculpture, and motifs of caves of Ellora, Elephanta, Kerala, Badami are inspired by Hindu mythology. And most of these locations, Buddhist and Jain influence can also be found. Sculptures of Hindu gods and goddess such as avatars of Vishnu, Ganga, and Jamuna, Nataraja, among others, are found at these sites. The Jain caves of Sittana Bhasal, Udaygiri, and Khandagiri contain murals painted with vegetable and mineral dyes in various colors of and sculptures of Jain Tirthankars. Barabar caves of Mauryan period contain Asokan inscription depicting the caves dedicated to Ajipika and sect. This significance signifies the religious harmony and tolerance of ancient India, explicit display of customers and traditions, as elaborated by example above, accompanies a implicit illustration. Sorry, illustration of considerable accomplishment in structural engineering and artistry, as well as discussed below. Caves excavated out of colossal rocks gradually evolved because of their durability in comparison to other construction material. The Kailas temple of Ellora is the world's largest monolithic rock, excavated in the shape of a chariot. The motifs, quality of the rich ornamentation and sculpture of caves temples belong to the best examples in ancient art. To work inside the caves at higher altitude, the planners had devised techniques of using a reflecting metal surface placed on the opposite hill slope. Some of the cave spaces are without supports and have been standing for more than 1500 years without much change, thus celebrating the success of extremely complex structural planning that also involves sculpture, elaborate pillars, and curved ceiling panels. Second question: well, the Battle of Plassey laid the foundation of British Empire in India. It was the Battle of Buxar that proved to be the turning point of British fortunes in India. Discuss the approach bring out the importance of the Battle of Plassey in laying the foundation of the British Empire in India. Discuss the significance of Battle of Buxar, highlight, highlighting the pivotal role in commenting British control over India. Answer: the British victory in the Battle of Plassey in 1757 ended the control of Bengal. Nawab and Mirzapur, a puppet ruler, was installed. The new Nawab was required to provide the British zamindari rights large sums of money and territories for maintenance of military. Thus, the battle that was won by politics, strategy, and tactical supremacy laid the foundation of British Empire in India and acted as starting point of their rule at regional level along with raising their pan-India prestige. The turning point for British fortunes was marked 7 years later by the Battle of Buxar 1764, which also marked as the last albeit failed comeback attempt of the regional rulers after a series of conflicts over control of administration and finances. The British emerged victorious in this battle fought between them and the Battle Nawab, alliance of Bengal Nawab, Oudh Nawab, and Mughal Emperor Shah Alam II. Significance of the victory. Significance of this victory can be gauged from the following consequences. Not only Bengal Nawab but Indian Emperor was defeated by British, making them a contender for supremacy over India. Thereafter, they used Mughal Emperor as a rubber stamp to give legal sanctity to their political and administrative actions. By the Treaty of Allahabad, they established dual government in Bengal, thus acquiring Diani, that is revenue collection rights, and Nizam, that is police and judicial function. They proved their military strength that was amiss in the earlier Battle of Plassey. They made huge economic gains, that is war indemnity, extensive zamindari rights across Bengal, Odisha, Bihar, and permission of duty-free trade in Bengal. Treaty of Oath establishment that state as a buffer and friendly zone for the British. Eventually, the company became the complete master of Bengal in 1772 when the dual government was abolished, thus doing away with even the nominal control of Nawabs. Thus, the policy established their foothold. Buxar resulted in their ultimate capture of the richest province in India, capturing them to become the strongest power in the country and eventually became its master. Among many novel methods and themes, the Swadeshi movement and laid great emphasis not only on boycott but also on self-reliance. Discuss approach. Give the brief description of the Swadeshi movement, discussing the means deployed during this movement. Elaborate how it laid emphasis on self-reliance and Indian capital. Answer. Swadeshi movement had its genesis in anti-partition movement, which was started to oppose the British decision to partition of Bengal in 1905. The movement involved public meeting, primary processions, formation of corps and of volunteers or samitis, etc. For mass mobilization, the Samitis used various mobile ideas to generate political consciousness among the public, such as magic lantern, lectures, Swadeshi songs, physical and moral training to their members, training in Swadeshi crafts, etc. The boycott approach of the Swadeshi movement involved in the following means: the boycott of foreign goods thus included boycott and public burning of foreign clothes, boycott of foreign meat, salt of sugar, salt or sugar, refusal by precists to ritualize marriages involving exchange of foreign goods, refusal of washermen to wash foreign clothes, and so on, promoting national education, boycott of officially controlled schools and colleges would lead to the establishment of Bengal Technical Institute in 1926, as well as many national schools and colleges in various parts of the country. National Council of Education was set up to organize a system of education, literacy, literary, scientific, and technical on moral national lines and under national control. Simultaneously, a good deal on emphasis was laid on self-reliance during this movement, as is evident from the following: focus on legal local culture, nationalist of all hues, took inspired from Indian works such as songs written by Rabindranath Tagore, Syed Abu, and others. Artists such as Rabindranath Tagore broke the domination of Victorian naturalism over Indian art and took inspired from Mughal Ajanta and Rajput painting, science, Jagdish Chandra Bose, Prafulla Chandra Roy, and other fine art original research which was praised the world over, promoting Swadeshi purchase of indigenously produced goods was encouraged along with imaginative use of traditional popular festivals and melas for Swadeshi propaganda. Indian enterprises, a number of exclusively Indian ventures such as Bengal Chemicals, National Tannery, Swadeshi Banks, etc., were established that were based more on patriotic zeal than on business acumen. The idea of linguistic states predated independence. However, it took some time even after independence for this idea to be implemented. In discuss approach, linguistic states predated independence approach give a brief history of evolution of the concept of linguistic reorganization in pre-independence India, then bring out the reasons for delay in linguistic reorganization despite strong demand just after independence. Conclude the conclude by commenting upon the outcome of linguistic organization and the idea of linguistic states predated independence as with the involvement of masses in the national movement after 1919. Congress undertook political mobilization in the mother tongue in 1920. In 1920, Nagpur session is accepted in principle the creation of linguistic states, and in 1921 amendments it constitution and reorganized its regional branches on linguistic basis. Since then, the Congress repeatedly committed itself to redrawing and provincial boundaries on linguistic basis. Although Gandhiji viewed redistribution of provinces on linguistic basis as necessary if pivotal provincial languages were to develop, it was therefore expected that the Free India would be based its administrative boundaries on the linguistic principles. But national leaders had second thoughts on the subjective immediately after independence, as tradition had created serious administrative, economic, and political dislocation. Communal and regional confederations were challenging the idea of India, and it appeared that language would strengthen these centrifugal tendencies. Also, due to Kashmir problem, a war-like situation with Pakistan existed. It was felt that priority must be given to consolidate national unity, and redrawing internal boundaries will disrupt administrative and economic development, intensify regional and linguistic rivalries, damaging the unity of country. Violence and jealous regionalism displayed during linguistic reorganization movement further reinforced these fears. Also, Dhar Commission and JBP committee formed on the subject did not endorse linguistic reorganization. Hence, the national leadership vacillated on the idea of for long. However, after years to continuous strife and popular struggle, first linguistic states of Andhra was formed in 1953. In 1956, the constitution was amended to facilitate large-scale linguistic reorganization, although implemented with some delay. Linguistic states and movement for formation of these states strengthened democracy. It accepted principle of diversity and made room for greater political participation by people. Events since 1956 have clearly shown that loyalty to language is quite consistent and acts as complementary to the loyalty to the nation. This process removed major grievance would have led to vociferous tendencies and cleared the ground for national integration. Next, Dr. B.R. Ambedkar understood that persistent inequalities pose fundamental challenges to the economic and social well-being of the nation and people. In this context, discussed at the key contribution of Dr. Ambedkar in the history of modern India approach. In the first part, discuss how, according to Dr. Ambedkar, inequalities pose fundamental challenges to the people and the nation. In respect, list of the contribution of Ambedkar in the history of modern India during both pre-independence and post-independence period. Dr. Ambedkar advocated equality and democracy in every field, social, economic, political. According to him, when a particular section of society is prevented from fully accessing resources, markets basic services like health and education, and the forums through which their voices can be heard in policy making process, the result is entrenched inequality and perpetual state of poverty. This leads to spread of violence and hatred which threaten social justice, equality, liberty, fraternity. They are very edifice of a democratic nation. Contribution of Dr. Ambedkar to promote equality pre-independence India is spearheaded active involvement against untouchability and stood for human rights and social justice. His contribution launched a three-tiered process of education, organization for the Dalits or untouchables so that they can overcome social barriers, self-respect movement, and an institution called Bhaiskrita Hitakarini Vaishrava for upliftment of Dalits, Pancha Sutras for Dalits, self-improvement, self-progress, and self-dependence, self-respect, and self-confidence. And public movements and marches to open up public drinking water resources temples for lower section of society, for example, Satyagraha in Mahad Pune Pact, under which, in addition to the agreement on electoral constituencies, reservations were provided for untouchables in government jobs and legislative assemblies, founded independent Labour Party for political mobilization of the downtrodden. Post-independence India prominent role in drafting the Indian Constitution, incorporated the ideals of pluralism and inclusion in the Constitution, and made provisions in the Constitution to ensure social justice for scheduled castes, scheduled tribes, and backward classes. Women's right critical role in passage of the Hindu Marriage Act, which calls for legalized divorce for women, and the Adaptation Hindu Adoptions and Maintenance Act, which legally adoption of the third child and provided detailed provisions for maintenance. His writings and works before and after independence on diverse fields: caste, religion, philosophy, constitution, grievances, governance, economics, and social justice, and gold mines of knowledge and wisdom. Sorry. Thus, Ambedkar imbibed the rule of law, fraternity, equality, and liberty among modern Indians. His work and concerns regarding a just and equal society remains relevant even today. It has been pointed out that in recent times, while the proportional share of nuclear households has dipped in urban areas, it has risen in rural areas. Analyze the reasons behind the trend. Approach: distinguish between nuclear and joint family, and mention the relevant data to support the statement in the question. Elaborate the reasons for decline of nuclear families in urban area. Elaborate the reasons for rise of nuclear families in the rural area. Nuclear households are defined as consisting of a married couple or a man or a woman living alone or with unmarried children, while joint family is an extended multi-generational unit that includes parents, children, spouses, and their offspring as well. Comparing the data of Census 2001 and 2011 of the division of household in percentage terms, and it can be inferred that the share of nuclear household has declined in urban area, while it has increased in rural area. Further, the fall in the share of joint families has been sharper in rural area as compared to urban area. Type of household: rural areas, urban areas. So Census 2001 and 2011, and here you can see nuclear household in rural area 50.7%, 2001, and 2011 52.1%, and here increased 1.4% in urban area nuclear families in 2001 54.03, and so 2011 it is 52.3%. Joint families 20.1%, and 2011 16.8% in rural area, and in urban area joint family for 16.4% 2001, and in 2011 14.6%. This is inconsistent with the generally assumed trend of rise in nuclear families with rapid urbanization. Reason for decline in nuclear families and rise in joint families in urban area: lack of adequate housing, challenges by increased migration, especially of the labor, is forcing people to stay together. Rising expenses in urban lifestyle, women taking up jobs, works, and consequent needs for childcare makes couples stay with the parents. Vulnerability of the elderly and also the support and socialization of children increases in life expectancy. Reasons for rise of nuclear units and deep in joint families in rural area. Fragmented land holding out migration in search of jobs. Sociologists argue that the human socialization are very process very generally it percolates from urban to rural areas. And so does nuclearization of households. Thus, it can be said that the interplay of contemporary realities of employment, communities, migration, cost of living, and lifestyles choice determine the way a family's life and households are constituted. Second number question: separation and not divorce in the dominant form of marriage. Separation and not divorce in the dominant form of marriage. Resolution for most women in India would what could be the possible reasons behind this? Also discuss why there are striking difference in divorce rates between the different regions in India. After introduce the answer by explaining the issue of marriage resolution and clarify the difference between separation and divorce highlights why separation is a dominant feature. Also account for varied divorce rates in different regions of India. Answer: divorce is a annulment of marriage, while separation means the couple no more lives together. However, in the institution of marriage remains intact legally, separation may or may not be followed by divorce. According to Census 2011, the number of people separated in India is almost three times the number of people divorced. According to Census 2011, the number of people separated in India is almost three times the number of people divorced. Reasons for higher percentage of separation are social stigma. Separation continues to maintain the institution of marriage, therefore it is more socially accepted. Delayed judicial procedure, as divorce requires legal procedure. People settled for separation fearing long-lasting adversarial and costly court hearing, changing general gender equations. Many financially independent urban women who are victims of harassment tend to separate to live a life of dignity. Census 2011 finds that divorce and separation rates vary widely across states and regions, while the divorce rates for India as a whole was in 0.24%. It was as high as 4.08% in Mizoram. It stands 0.32% in Kerala, 0.34% in tribal dominated Chhattisgarh, and at 0.63% in Gujarat. These are accounted for the follows. Northeastern states have higher rate than rest of the country. This might be because of Northeast India tribal laws for informal relations and women enjoy relatively higher social status because of existing matrilineal system. North Indian states like UP, Bihar, Haryana, North Indian states like UP, Bihar, Haryana, and Rajasthan, which are known to be deeply patriarchal, have much lower divorce rates. Gujarat has the highest rates among the larger states. The state has high per capita income and high literacy than bigger states. States such as Kerala have less rigid patriarchal norms, and women tend to have greater workforce participation and support from their family, from their natural family. So the socio-economic penalty of divorce is lower. Even though rates of separation and divorce are less than global average. Nonetheless, they are growing at a rapid pace. The need of the hour is to institutionalize better laws across all religious communities for separated, abandoned women, giving an account of their impact. Mention the reasons for increased frequency of dust storms as observed in the last few years. They approach briefly explain the concept and formation of mechanism of dust storms, mention the regions and for increased frequency of dust storms in the recent year, delineate the impact of dust storms. And the dust storms is a meteorological phenomenon which constitutes a strong turbulent wind that carries clouds of fine dust or soil and sand over a large stretch up to 500 meters above the land, mainly in arid and semi-arid regions. Reasons for increased frequency: excessive heating, high surface temperature, induced low pressure, which attracts high speed of wind, high speed winds, and in the northern region of India. Lesser soil moisture, higher amount of heat reduces the need for precipitation, which in turn increases the vulnerability of dry soil, increase the population of dust gains, and in the year, in the event of high-speed winds, interregional transfer, massive dust and sandstorm over Middle East acts as a source region for dust storms in India. This, coupled with cold winds from the western disturbances bands, makes the atmosphere unstable, ultimately triggering a dusty circulation in northern plains. Mismanagement of dry land areas, though through practices such as commercial agriculture, the soil loses its composure and erosion. It's the formation of large scale dust storms, climate change, when coupled with other reasons such as drought, mismanagement of water, and abandonment of agricultural lands, amplifies the impacts of the storms. Induce farmer distress by damaging mud houses, standing crops, and decreasing the productivity of livestock in the rural area. Change stability, salinity pattern across different areas, thus affecting the marine ecology. For instance, dust practices from Iran, Pakistan, and India have an impact on the salinity profile in the Arabian Sea, increasing airborne infections. For instance, virus spores was present on the ground or blown away in the air and spread through acid rain or urban house smoke. Okay, threaten human population with keratoconjunctives, vivid seca, or dry eyes, which it left untreated may lead to visual impairment or blindness, disruption of essential services such as increased power cuts, delayed railways operations, traffic snags, etc. Largest contributor to air pollution, as inhaling dust affects the respiratory system in extreme cases. Prolonged exposure to dust can cause silicosis, even leading to lung cancer. Elaborate on the factors responsible for the evolution of the current drainage system in Indian subcontinent, with special emphasis on the characteristics feature of Himalayan and peninsular rivers. Approach: briefly write about the current drainage system in the Indian subcontinent, mention the earlier drainage system and discuss its evolution, starting the citing the important factors responsible for evolution. Current drainage system. Answer: the current drainage systems can be divided in Himalayan or and the peninsular rivers. The Himalayan rivers are perennial, and as they are yeah, mainly extra-perennial. Himalayan river, as they are fed by snow melting and precipitation. Other, on the other hand, the peninsular rivers are dependent on precipitation, hence it's known as ephemeral characteristics. Characteristics, feature, and evolution at the current drainage system. Himalayan drainage systems, peninsular drainage system. These rivers originate from the lofty Himalayan ranges. These rivers originate in the peninsular plateau. These rivers have large basin and catchment area. These rivers have small basins and catchment areas, young, active, and depending the valleys, old rivers with a graded profile. These are examples of antecedent drainage. These are examples of consequent drainage, long course with meanders, river capturing and shifting, fixed and small course. Perennial receive water from glacier dependent on monsoon rainfall. Evolution of the current drainage system in Indian subcontinent in the result of interplay of factors like the change of relief, precipitation, etc. On the basis of drainage system in Indian subcontinent is divided into Himalayan and peninsular drainage system. The Himalayan rivers during the Mycenaean period, Himalayas from Assam to Punjab and Sindh was drained by the river Shivalik and or in the Brahma. Later it is dismembered due to following factors. In the Pleistocene period, Western Himalaya witnessed unstable, including the uplift of the Patawar Plateau, Delhi Ridge, which caused dismemberment of Indus and Ganga river system by acting as water divide during the same period. The crustal down thrusting occurred in the area between the Rajmahal Hills and the Meghalaya Plateau. It resulted into dismemberment of the Ganga and Brahmaputra river system. It led to diversion of the Ganga and Brahmaputra towards the Bay of Bengal. Peninsular rivers, they are older than Himalayan rivers, which is evident from the broad valleys and the maturity of rivers. Western Ghats act as the main water divide. It is the outcome of following three major events. In the early tertiary period, a western flank of the peninsula subdivided, leading to its submergence below the sea. Consequently, the direction of the river on either side of the original watershed got disturbed. Later, during the Pleistocene period, at the time of upheaval of Himalayas, the northern flank of the peninsula subsided beneath the Eurasian plate, thereby resulting into trough faulting. The Narmada and Tapi flow through this trough fault. Subsidence of northern flank has also resulted into slight tilting of the peninsular block from the northeast to the northeastern. It changed orientation of major peninsular rivers towards the Bay of Bengal. Thus, the interplay between the three major physiographic units and the nature of and characteristics of precipitation finally shaped the current drainage system in the Indian subcontinent. 10. Enumerate the features of the upland agriculture and the problems faced by them, given the fact that area under cultivation of palm oil has been increasing. Discuss the benefits of and changes associated with it. Approach briefly define plantation agriculture. Enumerate the features of the plantation agriculture, enumerate the problems faced by the plantation agriculture, discuss the benefits of and challenges and of increased farm of cultivation, and conclude on the basis of the above in the basis of the above paintings, giving way forward. Answer: plantation agriculture is a form of commercial farming where a limited number of cash crops like sugarcane, tea, cocoa, tobacco are grown in large farms for profit. It is generally found in tropical and subtropical regions. Features of plantation agriculture: it is undertaken over large estates covering thousands of hectares. It is labor and capital intensive. It lays emphasis on single crop specialization, monoculture, using scientific techniques. Most of the crops grown have a long life cycle and take years to mature, but afterwards they are productive for long period. It is generally export oriented activity and thus requires good transportation infrastructure. Problems faced by plantation agriculture: climate hazards. Generally, climate records of crops include constantly high temperatures, high relative humidity, and very high heavy rainfall, which affects the lower and liver productivity. Prevalence of this disease and insect pest: high temperatures and humid conditions encourage the growth of insects and bacteria, and also the spread of disease. Rapid deterioration of tropical soil for exploitation and absence of crop rotation depletes soil fertility and increases soil erosion, destruction of biodiversity. And most of their plantation farm are set up by clearing, forest adoption, and monoculture degrades regional biodiversity due to favorable climate and landscape in Andhra Pradesh, Karnataka, Assam, Kerala, etc. Consider area as a area has come under the palm oil plantation. Benefits of the palm oil cultivation: high yield per hectare. Palm oil is one of the world's most efficient crop in terms of yield of vegetable oil per hectare, and today it is the largest source of vegetable oil in the world. Labor intensive, thus providing employment opportunities to semi-skilled and unskilled people. Potential for utilization of wastelands. Challenges faced by the palm oil cultivation. Northeastern states which have good potential for palm oil. We need additional investment in land prepared due to hilly terrain, and we have large investment towards planting or maintenance of plantation for initial 3 to 4 years without any income. Farmers, particularly small and marginal, are reluctant in taking palm oil plantation, and lack of adequate participation and private entrepreneurs forwarding bodies joint ventures for large scale plantation. And humanitarian concerns for plantation laborers, poor living and working conditions coupled with very low wages, lack of basic facilities like healthcare, education, and potable water, voluntary and commercial disease, and no fora to share problems in the absence of trade unions. Environmental concerns: tropical destruction and consequent biodiversity loss slash and one for farms lead to increased emission of greenhouse gases. Promoting palm cultivation through initiatives like ANM developing national mission on oilseed and oil palm will help in utilization of wasteland for palm cultivation, attract cooperative bodies towards palm oil, and it crucial in reducing India's import bill for edible oil. Also, Plantation Labour Act (PLA) 1951, so that social economic development for plantation labours is adequately taken care of. Bring out the bring out the distinctive features of Gandhara, Mathura, and Amravati schools of the art that flourished towards the first century CE approach. Give brief introduction about Gandhara, Mathura, and Amravati school of art. Bring out the distinctive features of these arts forms. Answer the spread of Buddhism in the first century CE spurred the renewed artistic favor in which resulted in crystallization of three main centers of art production, that is Gandhara, Mathura, and northern India, and Amravati in region around Andhra Pradesh. The Gandhara region extending from Punjab to the borders of Afghanistan was an important center and of Mahayana Buddhism. The best specimens of Gandhara art are found in Taxila and Jalalabad, located in modern Afghanistan. It depicted the evolution of beautiful images of the Buddha and Bodhisattvas, which are modeled on identical characters of Gracio-Roman Pantheon. The Mathura school of art flourished in the city of Mathura during 1st and 3rd century and was founded by the Kusanas. The earliest sculptures of Buddha were made with keeping the Yaksa prototype in mind. They were depicted as strongly built, with the right hand raised in protection and the left hand in the west. The Amaravati school of art evolved during Satavahana period at Amaravati on the bank of the Krishna River in modern Andhra Pradesh. It is the site for the largest Buddha stupa in South India, and the images of Lord Buddha from Alluru, Dharmachakra and Lingaraja Palli are some of the finest sculpture of this school. The distinctive features Gandhara, Mathura, and Amravati school of the art are follows. Gandhara, Mathura, Amravati influence Greek or Hellenistic influence, also called Greek. Indigenous types of sandstone grey, British bluish grey, sandstone, spotted red sandstone, white marble. Religious influence mainly Buddhist, Hellenistic religion, Jainism, Buddhism, Hinduism, and secularism subjects. Many Buddhists patronized by Kusana dynasty, Satavahanas, and Ichchavakas, features of sculptures, spiritual Buddha. Sad Buddha represents calmness, beard and moustache, wearing lace ornaments, wavy hair, Greek, large forehead. Delighted Buddha, that is less spiritual, shaded head and face, dressed tight and energetic body, face reflects grace. Seated in Padmasana, right hand in reflects narrative themes based on life Buddha and Jataka stories of previous births of Buddha, both in human as well as animal form. Sculpture composition is more Greek. Buddha is seated in position of yogi, large ears, Greek eyes half closed, and protuberance on Buddha's head signifies wisdom. Abhay Mudra indicates reassurance raised above shoulders, left hand on left things, reflects muscularity, and protuberance on head complex, overcrowded, and characterized by intense emotions. The bodies are shown with three bands, that is Tribhanga. The British in India wanted not only terrestrial consequent and control over revenues, they also felt that they had a cultural mission to civilize the natives. change their customs and values. Critically discuss approach, briefly discuss the rationale behind the British adopting cultural and educational reforms, list out the measures undertaken by the British for this purpose and real motive behind it, discuss the impact that it had on the traditional education system that was already prevalent in India. Answer: the British in India established their territorial control over the entire country, but their task was not completed with the establishment of political control. They felt that they had a cultural mission in civilized natives by giving them proper education and by changing their customs and values. Many British imperialists they thought that Oriental civilizations might never progress to the point of enjoying constitutional government, and it was purpose of the British rule to bring to their colonial subjects through other benefits what they called order liberty. However, the real purpose of the civilizing mission was to strengthen the imperial sentiments in Britain by giving moral justifications. The Britishers wanted to create a class of persons Indian in blood and color, but English interest in moral, in opinions, and in intellect. It was done in the following manner: English medium education, and education to westernize. Macaulay's minutes led to the passage of the English Education Act 1935, which made English the main medium and instruction for the higher education. It was believed that Indian learning was inferior to European learning. English would make natives more aware about the development of Western science, philosophy, and trustworthy civil servants and demand for British goods. The economic rationale for English education was further recognized in the Woods Dispatch of 1854, which emphasized on European learning so as to change their tastes and desires. This was meant to create a demand for British goods and maintain a constant supply of trustworthy civil servants to the company. Moral character and loyalty or to impaired. The British also supported Christian missionaries agenda of improving moral character of the people through Christian education. It was based on the premise that modern education would destroy the faith Indians in their own religion, and they would gradually shift towards Christianity and become loyalty to empire. Eventually, these policies had an adverse impact on the traditional Indian education system of Panchasalas, which better suited the local needs. It further led to a class divide in access to education. Mahatma Gandhi argued that colonial education created a sense of inferiority in the minds of Indians. It made them see Western civilization was superior. He strongly felt that Indian languages ought to be the medium of teaching. Overall, the cultural information process was self-oriented way of civilizing people, which was guided less by a philanthropic concern and more by serving British interest in India and abroad. So next we discuss it is back to this white district.